Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Is anyone out there listening?
Yeah, this one's from KK Dolphin 010. Afternoon treat. Elizabeth, I am a stay-at-home mom, and like you referenced Oprah being an afternoon treat, for our moms, nobody's listening, is my afternoon treat before the kids come home from school. Grateful to have you both accompany my household work, and it allows me to look forward to doing these mind-numbing chores. Love listening, T-Bell.
Oh,
how fun is that?
That's awesome.
I mean, that's crazy.
Reminder for everyone to support us on, if you would like to, patreon.com/nobody's listening right. We have our monthly bonus episode dropping here pretty soon on the 15th.
All right, speaking of supporting us, we have some good news thanks to all of you guys. It's looking like Nobody's Listening Right's going to be able to do some ads again, which we haven't done.
Praise baby Jesus. Praise Saint Monica. Praise all of you nobodies out there. Thanking God.
I know. So, for those longtime listeners might remember the days of yore when we got to do a third Love bra ad here or there that delighted me to no end.
Still wearing the bra from back then, 10 years strong.
But anyways, thanks to all you guys listening. It looks like we're going to be able to do that again. And in preparation for doing that, we got a little survey. If any of you wants to get some bonus extra credit, go check out the description of this week's episode. There's a little survey that you could do, which, I don't know, would just warm our hearts.
It would mean a lot to us if you could take a few minutes to go do that.
Yeah.
And that's in the show notes, right?
That's in the show notes. There's a little link. It'll say survey.
Great.
Yeah.
Yay, look at us. We're joining the big boys and girls.
Yeah.
Out there. It feels nice.
Rejoining them, sort of.
Rejoining.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say on the heels of this year.
Yeah.
It feels good to know that that's going to be there moving forward.
And it really is thanks to everybody that's listening to this show.
Yes.
If nobody was listening,
no ads.
Nobody would ever advertise on our show. And let's be totally honest, we actually don't know if anyone is going to advertise on our show. But they might. It's looking like they might.
Yes. Great.
Yeah. Okay. A few weeks ago, we were talking about cemeteries. And the cemetery where your parents lie?
Are interned?
Is that it?
I don't know. They're there. They're corpses.
Well, I said I was going to call that.
Well, ashes. Go ahead.
Are they both ashes?
No. My mom's an old-fashioned corpse. My dad's...
One corpse, one ash?
Yes. And it's like, so them,
Is it?
No, I don't know. Okay, carry on.
Okay, geez. I don't know why that got weird for me for a minute.
Hard to fathom.
Hard to fathom. I said I was going to call them to with some landscaping questions.
Yes.
Because while you were in the throes of what does this world mean? What is life? What is death? I was looking around the cemetery saying, how the hell do they cut this grass? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I called them.
You did?
I sure did. Now, going into this, I really wanted to record the call.
Yeah.
And I tried to, but I did not know to what mountain I was going up against of what the Bellefontaine Cemetery kind of establishment is. This is a big organization.
Is it?
Yes. And they can't just willy-nilly say, sure, I can be on your podcast. I asked two different people and I said, do you mind if I record this? I said, I have a podcast called Nobody's Listening, right? I did not give them any more details than that because I feel like giving any details about the show, they would immediately say no.
It's not in our favor. Yeah.
I also thought if they went on our Instagram at Nobody's Listening, right? And looked at any of our silly clips, they would immediately probably not want to be recorded.
They would gracefully bow out.
So they were very nice. And the guy said, I would have to talk to, some other people to find out. I just can't, give you the green light. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Can I just ask you a couple questions?
Okay.
And so I didn't record it, but I got some real dirt.
Dirt?
Pay dirt.
Okay, let's hear it.
I talked to this guy. His name was Joe. He is like the director of development. This was a high up, too. This wasn't like...
He's up in the corporate office, the tower, looking down over...
And this was like someone I got passed off to after my initial phone call.
You went up the ladder.
I went there. And Joe could not have been nicer, could not have been cooler.
Oh.
And
did you tell him that your in-laws were buried there?
Oh, I really leaned into that.
And that we were just there with the kids?
I said we got one body, one ashes.
No, you didn't know that then.
I didn't know that. And I wish he would have like pulled that up on like a computer or something. Maybe he did, and I didn't even know.
Oh, yes. I see we have 8.2 pounds of ash, and I don't really know what the measurements
That seems
were.
like a lot of ash.
That does.
But I don't know. Another great question. How much does a body end up weighing in ash?
Well, that's a...
You get started on that.
Okay.
I'll keep going with this. He did ask, what is your name? What is your name, Elizabeth? So I bet he did look this up.
6 to 8 pounds. I was almost right
Nailed
on
it.
the money.
You nailed it. So here's what I learned.
Okay.
The burning question was, who mows this lawn? Who picks up the twigs? Who gets the leaves? You know, when is this happening? At this particular cemetery, they outsource it to another company that is called, I want to shout them out. What are they called? Focal Point. Shout out Focal Point.
Wow. That sounds like precision mowing.
I think
Focal Point.
I'm guessing these are the creme de la creme in the business.
Yes.
And we'll circle back to why in a moment.
Okay.
But on any given day...
Were you effusively...
I talked to this guy for like 20 minutes.
Okay. And you were like, I was so taken.
You have no...
by
there's a bigger
I'm
takeaway.
so upset that we don't get the...
There's a bigger takeaway from all this, like with how I was on the call, which let's get to at the end.
Okay.
Because it in some ways might have been life-changing, this phone call.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But every single day, there are between 20 to 25 people from Focal Point on the grounds every day.
What?
Mowing, blowing, picking up.
Mow, blow, pick up.
Every day, 20 to 25 people. Now,
And yet...
we didn't see anybody.
I mean, it reminds me of when I was doing florals and terrace gardening for the billionaires in Manhattan, where I was supposed to be like a little mouse scurrying around. If you see them coming, you hide.
Right.
You don't want to. We don't want these people to feel. We want these people to feel like their home is this beautiful and the flowers just show up and people aren't there doing these things.
Exactly. So with that in mind, what is it like here? What did they used to say to little kids? Like, be quiet, don't be seen,
not heard.
Right. So if people are coming into an area of the cemetery, they have it in like sectors, and that's not they're not the grounds crew, by the way. The Focal Point people, the landscapers. The grounds crew is a different department.
Okay.
We can get to that if you like.
I do.
But if they see someone coming in, they're instructed to get to the nearest mausoleum and hide in the mausoleum until people are like, I'm totally joking.
Oh my God. You honestly had me.
Just for the sake of, if Joe ever hears this, I couldn't stay with that long. That would have been fun for me. So I was like, well, why? How am I not seeing 20 to 25 people? He said, typically it is weather dependent and season dependent, but they get there very early. They're trying to get as much done in the wee early hours as possible. So that's why we haven't seen that many people. The grounds crew, they're hired by the cemetery itself, and they're in charge of digging the graves. This cemetery has 6 people doing that, digging the graves and other stuff.
I'm really curious, I wonder how many burials there are.
I asked that question. So,
God bless you.
Typically, there is no typically, actually. Mother Nature, you just don't know how many people are going to die. But they're having at least one a week. Okay. And there can be like a handful, and it does vary week to week. Like, so there might be 3 one week, 10 another week. I asked, how many more plots do you got?
Great question. Oh, Andy.
I almost want you to just ask me questions because I probably got the answers.
Yeah.
So little history before we get to that. And let me tell you something. You know where you're like, maybe I want to be buried there? After this conversation.
Do we?
This is a really special cemetery.
Oh.
So.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
No, it's really special.
Okay.
So it is a certified arboretum. Do you know what an arboretum is?
A tree place.
It's basically like a tree museum. Okay. And there's one agency.
And we're talking about Bellefontaine Cemetery.
Yes, Bellefontaine Cemetery.
Missouri.
There's 4 different levels of arboretums. Level 1, that's you're like, okay, cool, you're level 1. Level 2, a little bit better. Level 3 is really impressive. And then level 4 is like, are you kidding me? We're not a level 4 here, sorry. But we're a level 3.
Wow.
And one of only, how many level 3s are there? One of 45 in the world.
What?
Level 3s.
Oh my gosh.
And then I think there's only like 35 level 4s. Okay?
Wow.
There's 9,500 trees in this cemetery.
Wow.
500 different species of plants. It's been around for 174 years. There's going to be a big celebration next year for 175.
We almost should go back for it.
Well, we might have to. I mean, that would be nice. And because it is that arboretum status, that's what they really take all this seriously. So that's why they have so many landscapers. They also do have 3 horticulturists on staff that are like keeping stuff. I don't know what, you know what I mean. We all kind of know what I mean.
Keeping stuff right and tight.
Right and tight. But so you've seen it. It's big, it's beautiful, it's sprawling. Guess how many people, they call them residents, are currently there?
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't know. 10,000?
87,000.
What?
Okay. Now, when do you
87,000?
Yeah, and when do you think they're going to hit capacity? In how many years are they going to hit capacity?
Well, you asking that makes me think it's a long ways away.
It does? Okay, because me going into this,
87,000?
I had no idea what to expect.
He's saying
here.
there's at least one a week. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to say 200 years.
You nailed it.
Is it 200 years?
Yeah, so they're good for about 200 years.
So we want to get in while we can.
I think we're in the time frame.
Well, we own the plots. Now I need to talk to my sister.
Do you and your sister own plots?
Yes.
How many plots?
There are 2 plots for us.
For you, and one for you and one for your sister?
Yeah, and I don't even have the documentation. I need to look into this a little further. Maybe Joe knows.
Joe could definitely get us to the right person.
And obviously they bought these plots when we were young, and they weren't thinking, I mean, I think they were thinking, well, you could buy plots for your partners and your kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we might want to buy up the plots around my parents while we can.
That's interesting too. So knowing that 200 years, what capacity do you think that they're at right now with 87,000 residents?
75%?
They're at half.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? Just seeing the place, it's like, it's, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess 100, it's been open for 175, and they have, wow. Now, and also, obviously, they have to be very careful about, they can't dig into land in any way that would hurt any of the trees.
I assume so, yeah. The trees are important to them.
It seems
and
very
their arboretum
important.
Status.
Yes.
They don't ever want to lose that.
Did he look up my parents and was he like, oh, yes.
I don't know, but he did.
They're in quadrant 5.
He took your name, so I'm sure, I really think he probably did look this up.
Oh.
I would guess.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was
Thanks for doing that.
I loved it. And, you reminded me to do it because I'd forgotten to do it. And I'm glad that you nudged me to do it. Because I had such a great time talking to this guy because I genuinely wanted to know this stuff, but I think I was pretty good at holding this type of conversation and asking some questions that I think some people wouldn't ask.
Like what? Tell me the one you felt best about.
Even somehow.
Tell me the one that Joe was like, oh.
Well, there was a pretty funny moment when I had kind of set up the conversation that I wanted to know some landscaping things, and he was giving me all this history for quite a while, and I was indulging him too and asking questions.
Can I say what I think you said?
Sure.
So he finally ends, telling you about the arboretum status, and you go, I just want to know who cuts the grass.
Yeah, it was something. It was a funny, jarring pivot.
Yeah.
And he laughed and was like, "Oh, that's right. Like, this is why this guy is here." But I did it in a very, I think I did it in a great way.
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you're very hip and cool, and you're a record producer, and you have, I think, well, I don't know if my opinion counts anymore. I think you dress kind of cool, although, who knows what's cool anymore. But there's a part of you that I think is in the wrong era. And I feel like there is a piece of your soul that belongs in the old timey. You just want to talk to people. You want the grocery store thing. You're just interested in talking to regular people about nothing.
But
But to you, it's about. See, it's about nothing, but it's something. And in some ways, it's everything. But recently, you were talking about. I think this actually was a source of real tension.
Okay.
You were talking about a story from your dad's best friend had a crazy dating story.
I think we said that story on this show recently.
Oh,
I know we talked about it recently.
Well, then what was the thing where his friend started a
a pickle company.
I was going to say a fish bait business. No, a pickle company.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to get angry right now. I'm going to get so angry.
You were like, isn't that something? His friend, no, who was it to your dad?
I don't remember.
His friend, though, growing up, and I can see your dad telling the story and being like, he eventually, a couple of years later, started a pickle company. And you just took that and ran with it. And you're like, God, those were the days where you can just start a pickle company and you're not going off to I don't know.
No.
And it's a beautiful thing to you. I'm just going to start a pickle company. And then you were saying, isn't that amazing? Because no one now starts pickle companies. And then you pointed out, because of course on the tip of my tongue was while working for the billionaires in Manhattan, one of the private chefs who, again, all of us employees get to know each other.
Yeah.
Her partner started a company called Rick's Picks.
Yes.
And I witnessed that company go from farmer's market pickles.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. They're pickled beets, but it's called dope beets. And to now he's on supermarket shelves across the nation.
It's not the same thing. I have nothing but admiration for Rick's Pick's success story. He started out selling at a New York City farmers markets, and yes, now he's everywhere, makes great pickles. It's not the same thing. What I was speaking to is in the 40s, you could get out of college and you could look around at the world and what you're going to do with your life. And someone of our generation might be like, you know what? I think I want to be a graphic designer, or I want to be a podcaster, or I want to design little gadgets that are going to make shopping easier in supermarkets. In the 40s, you could look around the world and a job out there would be like, what's the pickle industry in this city I live in? There's 2 companies, but I bet there's room for another company, and you could start a pickle company.
Well, it's also you probably love pickles.
I should hope so. I love that aspect of it,
too.
Yeah.
Well,
do you see the difference, though? Where that is that's not a career path in front of your eyes.
Do you think for Rick's Picks it was?
It's not the same.
To me, I think it is very much the same thing. How is it different?
Okay. let's start with the similarities.
I know you're so pissed off.
The passion and the good pickles, I get that.
By the way, I know you're so pissed off that of all the examples of this like quaint little business you started, it happened to be for you to make your point. It's hard when I know a person who did just that.
No, but Rick's Picks, he's kind of an outlier where this was a thing. Every town had pickle guys. Every town had milkmen.
Yes.
Okay? Every town had, what's some other old jobs that aren't as common?
Vacuum salesman.
Vacuum salesman. That's not bad. Hey, that's not bad. Give me another one. I'm thinking too.
Butcher.
Butcher is a great
bread maker,
one. And
candlestick
also,
maker.
And you, in the profession of being a butcher, maybe it was passed down generation to generation.
That is true.
What's the...
Farmers.
A cobbler. A shoe man.
A shoe man.
You aren't getting out of college now and being like, I'm going to be a shoe man. Now, there might be one person that can have the equivalent of Rick's Picks as a shoe man now, and that's fucking cool, but it's not the same.
Yes, okay. I hear you. I do hear you. This, like, actually got heated between us when it happened before. Okay, here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
I think Mike Rowe talks about this. Do you know Mike Rowe? Dirty Jobs or whatever. He advocates, and I'd say 5 years ago I thought this was crazy, which was like, don't go to college, go to a trade school. We need tradespeople. We need
we've lost that. Yeah.
We've lost exactly what you're talking about, and it's all become corporate. Blah blah blah. I was so. I mean, I don't want to... Brainwashed is a strong word. But,
stupid is the word you're looking for.
But having gone to an elite college prep school and then having gone to a top university and having graduated in 3 years,
Stupid.
No, but, well, I do look back on that and I'm like, I graduated and I never used my degree for anything. Mm-hmm. I pivoted, but it was always the safety thing. At least I have that degree. And I know, like, if push comes to shove, I could put it to use.
You're getting off track.
No, I'm not.
I bet you don't even know where you are right now.
Mike Rowe said, don't go to college. And I thought that's really reckless advice for kids who have the ability to go to college. I mean, kids are privileged or have the funds or have the grades and can get financial assistance or whatever.
Scholarships.
But now I'm like, after the pandemic also, I'm like, oh my God, we live in this capitalistic bullshit society where you're taught like to just go join the rat race and climb to the top and it's money over everything and has nothing to do with quality of life. And we've lost touch with our neighbors, as you're saying. We've lost touch with our, like, being part of your community. And part of that is that, the pickle man in your community. You're not just going to Costco and buying, the pickles made in some factory in China or wherever. I probably not, but whatever.
Don't like the Costco or the Costco pickle example. I don't think is apt.
Okay, so...
They're a pretty great American employer. And support pretty great American businesses.
But would you agree with me?
And it's a good job to have and great benefits.
Okay.
Just use a different example, please.
Walmart.
Fuck Walmart. Although they do employ a lot of senior citizens and special needs people.
They have a lot of problems, though. But
Try one other place.
I'm not talking about these...
big boxes.
I'm talking about how these big box corporations that make a few of the people at top billionaires, which we've established we are not fans of that whole game, has gutted our culture. We're lonely. We don't know our neighbors.
Okay, I agree with you about the neighbors. You said like that I'd mentioned the neighbors before. I wasn't talking about neighbors, but I'm with you.
But isn't that kind of what you're saying about the pickle business?
Well, I think that
and
might
the
have
milkman
been, that was I guess that was part of the DNA of those jobs, but I was just talking about more of the job landscape, what was the opportunities that people were looking at back
well,
then.
This is a great question for you, because I never, obviously podcasting didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
I never could have imagined doing what I do. It was not an option in the least.
Mm-hmm.
You, I know, would look at like the booklets and CDs and like look and see who produced it. So you had some sense of like, some people do this for money.
Yes.
But what did you envision that you would grow up and do? Because
I really, as a young person, I really wanted to be a musician. And then pretty early on, there was this idea of being a music producer, but I didn't exactly know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess the CDs came later because we had tapes up until like college.
But those had credits and stuff in them.
Right.
Yeah, like the internship I got at a New York studio was because I saw the name of it in a Khalees album.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a producer named Rockwilder that I really liked, and he had done this song on the Khalees album that I thought was so cool. And I think even on that particular song, it said, like something about that studio, and that's how I found the studio.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, can I just tie up my Mike Rowe thing?
Mm-hmm.
I now am like, if our kids came to us and were like, I don't want to go to college,
mm-hmm.
I think we would explain to them, this is a big gamble because we don't know what it's going to be like in 20 years if you actually cannot get a job.
Sure.
I also think I didn't have like the best college social experience, but you did. And I think that there's like some formative things happening.
Sure.
So I would hate for them to potentially miss out on that.
Mm-hmm.
But also I'm like, if you are passionate about something and it's like, this is this other thing I want to do instead, and let's say it's a cool trade or something, go for it.
Yeah.
Recently we were up at the cabin and our contractor, who we love, has a new kid working for him. And I was talking to the kid for a while. He's just out of high school and he has like ambitions of becoming a firefighter, which is so cool.
Oh, nice.
But working for Jim, our guy, I'm like, that, because Jim does it the old school way. He takes real care to do everything. He doesn't cut corners. He takes pride in his craftsmanship. Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably hard to find someone who's going to teach you the trade that way. Oh, and I said to this kid, I was like, you are in a master class. I think that's so incredible.
Yeah.
And also, like, up there, especially, being a contractor who can do all of this stuff is, like, probably incredibly lucrative.
Oh, I mean, for sure.
So I was looking at this kid through a mother's eyes and being like, he is on the right track. Like, he's learning this trade from someone who is the best.
I love those moments on Dirty Jobs where Mike Rowe.
Yeah, I know.
He sort of tries to, in many of the episodes, kind of hint at how much money the people he's profiling make. Uh-huh. Do you know what I mean? Because he's also pointing out, like, you know what? A lot of these jobs pay really well.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, whether it's, like, resealing sewer tunnels, which is an extreme one, but look, whatever. Yeah, anyways. Oh, we got to an interesting place here. Yes, Elizabeth, yes.
What was that?
It's my old-timiness.
Oh, yes.
I'm talking in this way now, too.
Okay, so you got off the phone with Joe. Yeah. Feeling great.
Well, I'm feeling like you reminded me to do this. Like, you're like, hey, you said you were going to do this. And also, like, you said you're working on your hunts documentary. How's that coming? You got to do that stuff. And I was like, oh, I know. I just forgotten to do the cemetery thing, and I'm working on the hunts thing. But I felt very defensive, which you might have picked up on. And I walked away from that. But then I said, you know what? I'm so fucking lucky that I have a wife that called me on that.
Oh.
And I was like, I do got to get that call done. And it put a little pep in my step, like you gotta chip away more at your hunts documentary. But I came away from the whole thing of being like, don't ignore these little impulses you have, because I get so much joy out of them.
You get joy.
So that was the other reminder. And so, I don't know. That's all.
Okay.
I feel like that's all I want to say.
That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of trades, I was just thinking about, the night we met in New York, re-met or whatever. I was going with my dear friend Pam, shout out Pammy, to my graduation from bartending school party.
Yeah.
That my friends were throwing me as a joke. But I had, well, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a joke.
Maybe not a joke.
You were trying to frame it as a joke.
I was. And, I had gone to, as I mentioned, a very good university and graduated in 3 years and have that degree forever and ever. But I was feeling a little lost in New York. Mm-hmm. This was a time I had been working at the ad agency where all of my friends were, and it just wasn't for me. And then I had started doing UCB stuff, and I was like, I want to have a more flexible job where I can make money. And I thought bartending, great.
Sure.
So I enrolled in a 2-week-long course.
That's all you need.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day because I take so much joy in, like, we've had some really fun drinks out lately, which I've loved. And I feel like I'm getting a little more adventurous with cocktails.
Uh-huh.
And so the 2-week course, I mean, it was me and a lot of people who, like, it was like a group of people I hadn't spent a lot of time with before. It was people who were like just out on parole, or, it was a different crowd for me is what I'm saying. And I, wanting to be the people pleaser, the hand up in class all the time person, it was like these vats of different colored water.
Yeah, you weren't even making real cocktails.
No, and well, of course we couldn't be handling real alcohol. And we had to memorize all of the drinks, like Greyhound, what is it? And then, for this, the blue represents the vodka and the blah, blah, blah. And so the teacher would judge based on what the color of the cocktail was.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I took it so seriously, or I didn't want to not be good at something so much that I developed a crippling fear of bartending. And I made it through that class. I don't know if you remember this. I got a job at an Italian restaurant.
I think it was Israeli.
Israeli restaurant.
Yeah.
As a bartender. I lasted all of a day.
Yeah.
There were some young men who came in to order drinks. My hands were shaking. Like, I put so much, hats off to bartenders. To think on your feet like that, to know what you're making.
It was a very hard job.
And that's something I think, had I not experienced that, I would definitely think I could without question do that. I could be a good bartender. Now I know I would be a complete failure as a bartender. It's something I cannot do. And that's all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, I guess. Yeah.
Didn't you come see me that day at the Israeli place?
No, I never made it to the Israeli. You were there so quick. I think the only place I saw you was at Rodeo Bar.
Yes, as a server.
Yeah, not a bartender.
Serving I did that for a solid year.
Más o menos.
I know you're so disappointed in what I'm bringing to this podcast.
I'm not disappointed at all.
Okay, can I talk about something else that's bumming me out?
Yeah.
And you will relate to this. You're going to hop on this. I know, like a fly on shit. Okay. Another misconception I've had growing up in corporate capitalistic America is that the products that are offered to you will be available forever. There's Heinz, there's Hunts. You're going to have that. There's Gap Love underwear from 12 years ago that is made not from all cotton. It has a blend.
Yeah.
that kind of holds you together in a way that feels great.
Mm.
It had like a little cute bow in the front.
Mm-hmm.
They have discontinued this underwear.
Yeah.
And I cannot find the alt.
It's funny because I noticed you had some new underwear when I was folding laundry the other day. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen these. There's like some like lacy on the fringe.
Yeah, so those are pretty close. I just need to get a smaller size, actually. But those are 100% cotton.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have like, the Gap ones I'm sure were like polyester. I don't know. But there's kind of a silky feel to it that I like.
Mm.
These new ones are Natori, and they're pretty close.
But not what
But
you
not
want.
the ones, those were discontinued. J. Crew, another staple.
Yeah.
My sleeping situation is their long sleeve, the like more tightly fitted tee,
Okay.
body hugging kind of tee,
Uh-huh.
and pajama pants that they have had forever.
Mm-hmm.
I have 6 pairs of them. One of them just bit the dust because the elastic waistband's like coming through it, whatever. It's tattered and torn. As Jessie Klein in her amazing book, oh God, I'm spacing on what it's called. Just search Jessie Klein, and she describes underwear in a hilarious way. I feel like it's tattered flags in the wind.
Mm.
Then those pajama pants were discontinued. Now they make these dumb, and it used to have like, it was like jogger style. My creamer now has been discontinued.
No, it hasn't. I found it recently.
My face cream, a face cream I loved, gone.
Is it gone though?
Yes. Well, it wasn't a face. It was like it was kind of a cream and a like base. I don't know what that's called. That you would put on your face and it kind of evens things out. It was from Jane Arwildale. Loved it. Gone. Kiehl's lip balm in color. You know I use this shit all the time. Gone. And I don't know how to function.
Okay. Wow, this is compelling. Talking about things from the Gap and J. Crew that have been discontinued.
I thought you would have a little bit more kind of like empathy with me because you like the things you like, you love.
That's very true. You know what? You're right.
Okay.
It sounds funny coming from your mouth for some reason. And here's the other thing is like,
I'm outraged.
The Kiehl's thing. What Kiehl's thing? I don't believe you about that thing. The lip balm's done?
It's a colored lip balm that's like a... What? Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
And I actually even dragged my friend Michelle into a Kiehl's in England because I thought maybe they have it here. And she was the one who broke it to me. Those have been discontinued.
See, what this sounds like, and I hate to be this guy, is just you, and if you want to put me in there with you, us, just getting old and out of touch. I think the products we're talking about become discontinued because they're not in fashion anymore. So much so that they discontinue them. The lip balm, no one was buying it anymore except you, so they got rid of it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think you're right.
I think time moves
Time marches on is what you're saying.
Time marches on. Now, I appreciate your look for these. And listen, you know what? You might get some rays of sunshine down the road. Don't ever stop looking because what if they bring some of these products back? That happens from time to time, right? But, also nobody shops at the Gap or J. Crew anymore, I don't think.
Well, I will say, and if they want to sponsor us, then I will say I've been frequenting J. Crew from the beginning of my life. Mm-hmm. Love it. Great. But their quality has really gone in the crapper. Mike Rowe could do an episode about where the quality of J. Crew clothes have gone.
That's not the kind of show he does.
I don't know what is going on over there. I don't.
Well, they do have a new head of like design that has some pretty big bona fides from the New York streetwear, like skate culture, that is trying to breathe new life back into it. And so they are trying some cool collabs that I've seen and whatnot and read about. But can somebody right that ship? It might be too late.
I mean, this kind of brings this episode full circle. It's like what you were talking about in the beginning with your pickle man. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't make them like they used to, you know? It's all about the bottom line. It's all about scaling up. It's all about Shark Tank. It's all about, you know, towers and being up on top of your tower.
But you can only be on top of the mountain for so long because the
mountain is different.
The mountain changes, right? The goals change.
No, the goal has not changed. The goal, oh yes, you're right, sorry. The goal used to be I want to make a product I'm proud of, and now the goal is just I want to make as much money as I can.
I think that money goal, though, has been had a great undercurrent all through the modern age. But you're saying that it's getting more and more, the current is getting stronger?
Yeah. Oh, we're in a shit show right now. Do you know, like, during the strike, have you seen the difference in the lowest paid employee versus the CEO, you know, back 60 years ago? I'm going to get this all wrong, but just hypothetically, it was like the CEO is paid 50 times more than the lowest paid employee on average at these companies. Mm-hmm. Now it's like 2,000 times. I mean, it's out of control. I'm outraged. I want my underwear back. I want, yeah.
I feel you.
All right.
You have like a lot of, as you're getting older, I appreciate you having these sort of, like, what do you call them? Not big feelings, but
beefs.
Beefs, but also, yeah, maybe it's beefs, which I don't think you had in your younger youth. Mm-hmm. And I'm a beefy guy, so I like seeing you develop these beefs.
No, I've always had beefs. It used to be, though, like, you know, we talked about dog rescue stuff. I've always been judgmental of other people. Like,
well, that's not exactly what I'm talking about.
No. But I mean, for what I believe is right. In this case.
But a product getting discontinued at Gap, that does fall more into my type of trivial beefs, which is why you thought I would get on board with it. Where you talking difference between people that don't take care of dogs and something getting discontinued from the Gap is there's a big valley in between those two things. I like seeing you get upset about this dumber stuff. Mm-hmm. But like lately, you've been downright rageful at the Apple weather app. Like, I've seen you on multiple occasions lately looking at your phone so angry because the forecast that they're giving you doesn't match up maybe with what's happening right now or what's going to happen tomorrow.
It's fucking raining outside, and I'm looking at the app, and it's like sunshine, blue skies. I'm convinced that there's someone who's high on marijuana sitting in an office at Apple Corporation up in wherever the fuck. Cupertino. Going, let's say LA today is, you know what? I'm going to kick it up a notch to 84. A little cloudy. I don't think they're looking at any information. There are no graphics for them. They're pulling it out of their ass.
What you're saying is so disrespectful to the meteorological community. Did I say that right? What you're saying is so disrespectful.
I'm saying that Apple is disrespecting.
It's not
the profession of meteorology.
No, Apple is not, there isn't an Apple meteorologist guy in Cupertino. It's like pulling data from all these.
So it's AI. Well, this AI is fucked. It is so wrong, and we'll compare it with, you know, other weather places that are getting it pretty much more closely right.
Oh, okay. Hold on there. So you're saying there's other weather authorities, like weather.com?
AccuWeather, yes.
So you're saying they're more accurate?
Correct.
So then stop looking
No,
at the
but the
Apple
Apple
one.
thing is so convenient. It's right there. It's in your pocket. I mean, they have that part nailed.
I bet you can get a widget for AccuWeather that's on the front of your home screen.
Okay, well, whatever. It's someone needs to get fired. I hate to say it. They should go join a trade. They should go learn a trade.
For the record, I do not think this is an Apple problem.
Uh-huh.
I think this is just, weather's hard. It's hard stuff.
Just sorry to pivot away from this, but
Fine.
Speaking of my rage, you'll really appreciate this. I got put in my place so hard. And I don't like painting. This episode's painting me as a bit of a pissy bitch.
That's part of it, not all of it.
Well, but I also...
A well-educated pissy bitch.
No, I was just saying that because you were calling me stupid, but can you defend me that I'm not, like, I'm not walking around...
Tell whatever story you're going to tell, and then I'll see if I'm defending you or not.
I'm trying to relate. What if we have new nobodies and they're like, oh, this dumb, like...
That could happen.
Okay. But I'm pretty chill and easygoing. Like, I'm usually...
Pretty chill?
What am I
With
like?
some stuff.
If you were describing my essence to someone who doesn't know me...
Yes. I would say...
Happy, positive?
Yeah, you have a positive, smiley demeanor.
Okay.
But deep down, and I told you this the other day, there's a darkness that I like.
There is a darkness.
There's a darkness hiding underneath the smiley exterior. You're not hiding the darkness. It's not like, it's not a facade. It is a genuine sunshine, but you have both.
Okay, great. So I was at CVS. I was getting my flu shot, and I was annoyed with the flow of things at the Minute Clinic because I was definitely there before other people. I know you make an appointment also, so that changes things. But when you're like waiting a long time and some gal walks up and just saunters over, it's a little annoying.
Sure.
And then we came out at the same time, and she was like kind of blocking my way to get out, and we're like moving around each other. I was
out of what?
Just down the aisle out of the store. I was kind of annoyed with her. So I, in a way that would have been noticeable, like sped up and kind of went around her. And
did you make any audible sighs? Because you do audibles.
No, not that I'm aware of. And I know I do, and sometimes I don't know it. So then we're both walking out of the store, and then I keep walking, and I think I've lost her. And there's this other woman who's coming up, and she like was doing a U-turn to go back to her car because she didn't lock it or she forgot her keys or something. And I made a funny like, oh, ha, ha, ha.
Wait, how did you get all that information from?
Because she walked up and she was like, oh, forgot my keys, and had to turn back around.
But you acknowledged it?
Yes. As like, been there, like whatever.
Okay.
So then I feel like a presence on my heels. And I'm like, I'm going to hurry up. My car is right there. So I go to unlock my car, and I go and pull the door handle, and it doesn't open. And I hear, I think that's my car.
You guys have the same car.
Parked right next to each other. And it's that woman, and she was so gracious about it. Like, I don't think I would have had the same grace. I would have been like, that's my car, after you kind of rudely cut me off. And I was like, oh, sorry. And she was like, oh, I've been there before. She made it okay. And then I had to go and walk around and get into my car.
God, and the lesson was, don't be such a pissy. Wasn't that a nice takeaway, a nice lesson? Didn't it feel nice that she treated you like a human being?
Oh my God. You were really painting a picture of me.
You're huffing, racing down the aisle at CVS, getting in front of her. Surprised you didn't trip this woman. And then
No,
she's so graciously.
I would never trip someone. Physical violence is not the answer. So,
wow.
Yes, great lesson learned. It all worked out well.
Did you guys laugh at all? Or...
Yes.
Love those human moments, huh?
Okay. Great.
Okay, I got a real random question that I've been meaning to ask you for a while. You hear those stories? We've watched our kids like Mr. Beast, and like there's the videos of like the waitress gets the big tip, gets a Tesla, gets a $10,000 tip. But you see these stories in the news of the celebrity gave someone a $1,000 tip. Question for you, since you've worked in the service business as a waitress.
Yeah, you've worked in the service business.
Not in the restaurant service business.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if that would happen, let's say it happens at Rodeo Bar when you're working at Rodeo Bar. You get a $2,000 tip, okay? And the table, let's say it was a table of like 6 people, and it turns out one of them was, I don't know, some big wealthy person in New York. But was not that novel of an experience, you waiting on them. You didn't go out of your way or whatever. But at the end of it, you get a $2,000 tip.
Did I slip my nip a little bit?
No sexual favors whatsoever. Okay. This is all above board. You just get a $2,000 tip.
Wow.
Very big. What do you do? Is it all yours, or are you splitting it with everybody at the restaurant?
No, it's all mine.
Whoa.
Well, we didn't pool tips there, first of all. You got your tips. This is, okay, actually, we're going to go long. I wanted to talk about tipping and stuff.
Okay.
And I also find that genre of entertainment very interesting. I thought you were going to ask me, okay, I just got this $2,000 tip. At that time in my life, that would have been like, not that it would be now, I'd welcome that, but like, massively helpful.
And well, I'm thinking of it sort of in that guise of you getting that tip, and then like you would probably instantly tell some coworkers because you're like, holy shit, I just got a $2,000 tip. But what that means in that moment to everyone else, because it would change everyone else's lives in the restaurant too.
No, but it wouldn't. I mean, if I'm splitting it with 10 people, then we're each just getting 200. Here's what I want to say. Everyone worked for their own tips there. Also, I thought you were going to ask, do you play the role? Because yes, you're getting a $2,000 tip, but in the case of a lot of these YouTubers or whoever, the thing is that the person has to be like, oh my God, thank you. Like crying.
No, I'm also, saying the guy's left, the guy or gal has left the restaurant.
Okay, but now I'm moving on to, that's what I thought you were going to say. I get it that you didn't say that. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, I wouldn't split the tips. Later, I found out, now Rodeo Bar has closed down, so all of my coworkers were stealing.
Well, that is rampant in the restaurant business. Yes.
I never stole anything. I didn't even know it was an option. Apparently, all of them were skimming. Like, there was a way you could...
Scams.
Yeah. They weren't stealing from the customers. They were stealing from the restaurant. Like, there was a way you could skim using the tip. I don't know.
Sure.
So they were all, like, in on something that I wasn't the whole time anyway. So I don't really feel guilty about... And it's like, that was my table.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about this form of entertainment. Because I recently started following this guy who seems like a great guy. I followed him on Instagram, and then I unfollowed him like 2 days later because his videos are very heartwarming and moving. He does a lot of good for people, but it's very often like a homeless or an unhoused person or a vet who's unhoused or something like that he will go to and say like, hey man, I'm really hungry. Can you spare $1? And if they give him $1, he's like, okay, actually, here's $500 for you because you were nice to me. Right. Or he'll go up to people in like Targets and will be like, would you rather have, I mean, Mr. Beast has done this too. Would you rather have $100 or would you rather give $500 to other
someone
people?
else? And then, yeah.
And then they give $500 out And because they were such a good person and weren't greedy for the $100, they then get $1,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm torn about this because it's obviously good. I'm sure the people who are involved are happy for this money.
Mm-hmm.
The entertainment part of it, and in best case scenario, is it's inspiring people to be generous.
Yeah.
But it also, especially this guy who is like, your reward for being nice, but it's also like, here's an unhoused person. If they're not going to give you $1 to help you, you're not helping them. It feels like this weird, yucky.
No, it's gross.
It's
being videoed for entertainment, for
yes,
clicks.
And then he has a huge following, and then he will like do a GoFundMe. I mean, he has made it so that people have a new chance at life. Like,
okay, that's cool.
He'll raise $80,000 and go back to that person and say, you can now get an apartment.
I like that.
Yes. So that's a huge part of it. But also this guy's voice is like, hey, man. Like, it's just really... It's like...
But also his voice.
He's like, hey, I'm really hungry. Like, can I have $1 just to go get a blah, blah? And the person's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, really? Oh, man, this is for you. Yeah, it's for you. That's for you. God bless you. It's so horrible. Okay. And so, I have very mixed feelings.
Yeah.
I decided to stop following him because I'm like, I don't really like consuming this.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's nice that he's doing this for these people.
It's very complicated because, yes.
It's complicated.
This person found a way to maybe make money that he in turn can help people out. But the undercurrent of all of it is that he's exploiting these people too.
Yes.
For his gain as well.
And also, I do want to say, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are doing this type of content. The two biggest who come to mind are Mr. Beast and this guy.
Yeah.
Both like white. It reeks of white saviorism. Like, and this guy also is really very religious. He doesn't speak to it a ton.
Yeah.
But, you can do a little digging and figure out he's very, very religious. And so that also stinks of, like, what's that called? Where religious people go and try to...
Door-to-door shit?
Missionary type.
Proselytizing?
Proselytizing. I don't know. It all has this yucky from a place of privilege. And I was thinking about the people, especially the people who are, like, shopping at Target. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm very easily swayed, and if I were at Target and someone came up to me, first of all, I know the deal, so it would be like, I definitely want to give this money out, which I would want to anyway. Let me make that clear.
Not the $2,000 tip if you got it at the restaurant.
At that time, no, and also I knew all of my coworkers, like, I mean, we all were in the same boat, like, Mm-hmm. It wasn't that type of... Okay, whatever. So, oh my God, I have a lot to speak to. I also want to talk about tipping in general. We'll circle back to that. This is a long episode. Mm-hmm. So, Oh, the person who's at Target. If he came up to me, I would be like, I want to give it out. And then I would be expecting the thing at the end. And then I would definitely turn on the waterworks. Like, I am playing the role. Not realizing, like, how embarrassed I might be later for it to seem like I'm struggling so much. And, like, do you know what I mean? It kind of makes...
But wait.
It's kind of...
I don't know what you mean.
It's kind of making assumptions about people and what this amount of money would mean to them. That...
Well, I think
and broadcasting it, and... It's more meaningful if they have the bigger sob story, like, I'm unhoused, I'm a veteran, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And so I could see getting swept up in that, and then later either feeling like a fraud, like I don't actually need it that much, or do you know what I mean? It's puts them in a weird situation where they don't have the time to think about it, and they're also getting the money. I don't know.
But okay, you're saying two separate things here. One is the people doing this, you're saying, are like sizing up who they're approaching about this.
Yes.
Which I think in some cases is definitely true to different extents. It sounds like this guy that you're talking about is, he's targeting people that are unhoused and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But like some of the Mr. Beast ones, they just feel like they're going up to random people in Walmart, which
that's the difference.
Doesn't feel as gross.
Yes, you're right.
And since our kids like Mr. Beast, we've seen a lot of Mr. Beast. I would even say that his content, I think, has evolved in a way that they're probably self-aware of that, where it does feel much more random, like, hey, we gave this person a Tesla. Like, it doesn't feel as loaded, even though the more loaded version can be the more heartwarming one, but that one can get kind of icky feeling, too.
Yes.
Everything you're saying is so interesting.
The Mr. Beast one is interesting, too, because sometimes he'll do... I agree. I think he makes it less yucky than this other person, but sometimes he'll do these things where it's like... a challenge, like if you stack, whatever you can stack, you get, or whatever. And that's also kind of yucky because sometimes the stack falls. And to that person where they just stacked $20,000 worth of stuff, which is really meaningful to them, and then it goes away and it's all for this entertainment. Whereas, you know what I mean?
But that's more, well, that's what's interesting about all of this is it has to be entertaining for the people to want to make it. Like Mr. Beast is just trying to make the most entertaining video. Mm-hmm. And I do think that at least the people going into it know what they're getting into in those particular cases. Like,
that's true.
Or whether it's one of those competitions like Hand on a Truck, the last person to let go gets the truck.
Right,
you know what you're getting into.
That's true. But I am a fan of Mr. Beast, by the way. I'm kind of lumping him in with this other person because I think
he's inspired
this trend.
Without a doubt.
So tipping, it's interesting because lately there's been this new thing. Well, and it speaks to I think our system is messed up. Like in France and other countries, servers make a living because the minimum wage isn't like below. They can make a real living that floats their life. Servers here, especially in expensive cities, are not making a living. They survive on tips.
Right.
Now, there are some restaurants who have started adding a 20% gratuity, 15 to 20, to your bill. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely snuck up on us a few times where we're not aware of it until like after we've filled in another 20% tip.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Which I'm all for over tipping. Like I tipped our Postmates driver today quite a bit because whatever. I'm like, it's hard. It's hard being here. And if you can throw a few extra bucks towards someone, it means a lot.
Okay.
When that's all added up. But it's interesting. And I'm about to sound like a little bit Republican. Mm. I have found that these servers where they have the 20% baked in are not that attentive.
Oh, interesting.
They're as good.
I've only had one experience recently, and you pointed out to me like, oh, this is it. Which is weird because I feel like those restaurants that do that, they usually present it in this way of like, hey, we, just so you know, the gratuity's built in. We do that so our staff can have,
health insurance.
Right. Like they do it in this way of like, the idea being our staff's going to be happier because everyone knows that they're going to be tipped. That's the hope, right?
Yes, that's the what you hope for.
And so what you're saying is it might not be working that way.
I don't know, and I don't like this shade on me, but I have noticed. I will
just
say,
keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it.
I just did remember when I was working at Rodeo Bar, one time this table of young guys came in.
Yeah.
And also this restaurant was like a Tex-Mex steak kind of place. Not like fancy. It was peanuts on the floor, literally. There's a barrel of salted peanuts. It was so disgusting.
But not cheap.
Not cheap, but not not nice. But it was like totally kind of a tourist spot because they thought it was Coyote Ugly.
Right.
And they'd come in and be very disappointed and some of them were kind of horn dogs.
Sure.
So there was a lot of like ass slapping and innuendo and that I had to put up with.
You got your ass slapped, do you think?
Oh, yes.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yes. Or like pulling on me, or like I had a little
tail thing.
I had, you
guys all wore horse tails at rodeo bar.
And we had to.
You had a lasso. Oh my gosh, yeah.
No, I had a little waitress kind of apron
totally.
that had my pockets for my stuff, and they would like tug on that from behind me, and there's lots of stuff like that, and also just gross and flirting, and
sure.
I had to flirt back because I wanted tips and I lived off of tips. Well, this table came in, these young guys, and they did not tip me.
Right.
And I ran out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yelled at them, chased them down.
I know exactly how you did it too. Can I do it?
Do it.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You definitely didn't excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Was the service not up to par? Was there something wrong with the service?
Yeah.
And then I said, traditionally,
nice.
If there's nothing wrong with the service, you would tip.
Yeah.
And they were like, playing dumb.
Uh-huh.
And they left.
Bummer. That's it.
That's it.
Well, just to wrap it all up, and I know you and I have talked about this before, it is bewildering lately how prevalent the like flip over the iPad, the tips are in front of you at counter services now. It's like, if I'm getting a donut now, I got to tip you to get the donut, which I am doing it because I'm like...
It's right in front of you.
It's right in front of me, and I look like an asshole if I don't.
Well, that's my other beef.
Yeah.
Is like going to a coffee shop and like, God bless everyone who's working those jobs. I know it's intense and it's tough.
Yeah.
But I have a problem when, for example, one of my very favorite coffee shops here in LA, which is not cheap.
Yeah.
I've spent our whole life savings at this place.
Yeah.
The tip options are 18, 22, and 25.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I resent that I'm going to tip you here at the counter who is using tongs to get my muffin and like turning around and filling up my iced coffee from a thing, the same amount that I'm tipping someone who spends a full hour and a half, like bringing me water, taking my order.
Yes. Well, here's the other thing.
It makes me upset.
What also is fucked up about this is you're resenting the person that got you the thing, or the cashier, or whoever employee that you're dealing with, when guess what? It's not their fucking fault. It's whoever decided to implement this at the restaurant, right?
Of course.
But they're getting saddled with this, like, resentment almost.
Yeah.
That like they shouldn't even have to own. Now, granted, it is nice, hopefully.
I think that they're getting
just pay them a better wage.
Well, then we go back to the... But that place actually is starting to pay them a better wage.
Okay, let's talk.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Starbucks this morning.
That's what I want to talk about. Starbucks. Do you tip at Starbucks now that they offer the tipping at Starbucks?
Yes, and especially the one I have been going to recently, which is a drive-thru.
God, I love that one.
They are so
much.
fucking wonderful.
Are they on something there? Are they smoking something there? Because they're delightful.
I think they might be too much for some people this morning. Well, actually...
Do you think they're punking everybody in the drive-thru? They're so friendly. Are they punking us?
You'll find this very funny. Possibly. A few times ago when I went, they make conversation with you. And I'm guessing it's a little too intrusive for a lot of people who we're used to just like getting our shit and going. But they were like, any fun plans this weekend? And I was like, oh, I'm actually going up to... I forget what I said. And then was talking about... oh, how many kids do you have? And I was like, I have 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. I actually thought the order was done and that I had gotten everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, have a great day. And I started to pull away and she goes, wait. You don't have your other coffee. Oh, and I was like embarrassed that she thought that I was like, there are cars behind me. Continuing this like person-to-person chit-chat.
Was too much for you? That you would forego the other coffee?
No. I was concerned that she thought I was just sitting there continuing this conversation when I obviously thought I had everything I needed.
That's funny.
So this morning, the woman there was chatting with me while it's usually because they're making your decaf one. And she was asking me about weekend plans, and she asked me, what's a thing you're looking forward to? And then I asked her the same thing. She was looking forward to a nap after her shift. And then she goes, if you could tell one person one thing, what would it be?
Jesus Christ. Do they have some weird team building fucking exercises every morning there? What is going on at that Starbucks?
So I want to end this episode with me asking you the same thing.
Okay, what
now,
is it?
I said what I said, and then I started to drive away, and I thought, oh, she meant like one person. Like if I could tell, my dad that whatever.
Give me the prompt again.
If you could tell one person one thing, what would it be?
And what did you say?
I said, it's all going to be okay.
That's
and
nice.
She was like, woo! But I was like, I could have said, I would tell my mom I love her. I mean, I'm starting to get... And leave teary-eyed like Starbucks. What would be... And it can be anyone. It doesn't have to be someone you know.
I would probably tell them right there, this is a little too much for me right now. But you've given me a lot to think about today.
Well, I'm asking you.
Gosh, that's a big question. I'm really admire how quickly you had an answer. If I could tell one person one thing, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like it's a lot of pressure.
And that's too big of a question at the fucking Starbucks.
I mean, she asked me that, and she asked me, what's one thing you're looking forward to?
What'd you say about that? This apple croissant.
I love those.
Oh, speaking of, I went to a different Starbucks, and I ordered one, and the lady's like, have you had these? And I was like, no, my wife loves them. And she said, these are incredible. And I was like, I know, my wife's kind of obsessed with them, but I think they're getting a lore around Starbucks.
I'm so glad, because I don't want those to go the way of my Gap underwear and fucking J. Crew PJ pants.
Well, get ready. This is a fall thing, I would guess.
Oh, that's going to be really hard to deal with. Okay.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.